You've tuned in to Cardinal Sin where I, Cardinal Sin, discuss important pop culture news, reviews, movies, genre fiction, comics, storytelling, and just about anything else with my fellow YouTubers. Get ready for informed conversation about what's going on, for as your humble host, I rely on my guests to provide the talking points, whether it's a panel or just me one-on-one with a friend. So get ready for Cardinal Sin and... Greetings, followers. It is I, Cardinal Sin, and let me welcome you to an episode, a very special episode of Cardinal Sin and Friends. And we are going to be talking about the history of horror hosts. But I can't do it alone. So let me introduce my guests for the evening. Tracy and Maria.
Hey, y'all.
Hello, hello.
Thank you for having us.
It is nice to have you.
Yes. We're excited to be here, excited about the subject.
You can tell your friends that you were had. That was a little joke. Apparently very little. You were had by Cardinal Sin. Maybe that's funnier.
I was kind of waiting for the rest of it.
That's all there was.
Okay.
So, what do you guys know about horror hosts?
Oh my gosh. Well, of course, my favorites. I still watch. Well, they didn't have many episodes, but they had Boris Karloff doing the Veil, and they had very few episodes. I'm not sure why that one didn't go more, because I thought it was great. So that's where my love started. And of course, Alfred Hitchcock wasn't a huge host, but I did like what he did at the beginning and everything. So for me, that's where it all started.
More of a director than a horror host. Yes.
Yes. He hosted very little.
Yes.
I was cracked up at his little tidbits that he tried to do at the beginning of the show.
He always put a little cameo appearance into his films, didn't he?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Tracy, what's your knowledge block on horror hosts?
Not a great deal. I'm more into the horror movie genre, ghost stories, scary movies, documentaries, especially, but not a lot of horror hosts. I mean, there's the most famous one, Elvira.
Everyone knows Elvira.
So she comes to mind. But as far as anybody else, I'm not 100% sure.
Well,
what about you?
we may have an education for you this evening.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I'm sure I'll be surprised at some that I didn't know about. So you'll educate us tonight.
Well, I'm excited, and I'm so happy to have the two of you here tonight.
Well, it's going to be fun. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
It is going to be a lot of fun and a little scary. Because I can't see.
I know that fear.
And I'm doing just a little last minute moving around of stuff. So talk amongst yourselves.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Talk amongst
Well,
yourselves.
hello, everybody in the chat. It's so good to see you.
Yes, let's say
Lots
hi
of
to
people.
people in the chat.
70s.
And I will go ahead and see who we have. And if I can see who we have. Hail,
If you need
Andy
some help.
Masterson.
Okay, you got it. You're on it.
Rule.
Rue.
Hail. And Andy Masterson says, Dr. Shock, Philadelphia, around the area in the 70s, and we actually are going to get to Dr. Shock. And Darius Munchausen is here. And I'm very glad to see Darius Munchausen because we have an extraordinary giveaway today.
Nice.
So we're going to need a spinner wheel. I'm just letting the mods know in advance. And Darius says, welcome, Tracy and Maria.
Was bist du?
Hello.
And hail to the edge of time.
Edge of time.
Nice. That's a nice name.
Wonderful to see you.
Wunderbar.
Yeah. Now, before anybody gets all silly about my makeup, I have been putting on haunted houses and Halloween displays in people's yards and houses for parties and for trick-or-treaters since 1983.
Wow.
And I've
Wow.
always done my own makeup. And in a previous life, I was a drummer, and I wore mascara because I was all the way in the back, and that would make my eyes pop out so that people could actually see there was a person back there behind all of the people who were hogging the spotlight on the stage.
That sounds like so much fun.
It was fun. After I started doing it, the singer started doing it, though, of course. So, I don't know. But one thing that I think the goth kids have in common with sort of everybody in their clique is they all dig the horror hosts, and they all like to go to Village Inn and smoke cigarettes and drink coffee. At least that's what we did back in the day.
Wow. Gosh.
I'm going to be going like this a lot, playing the trombone.
You know, I wish I was more fun back in the day. I was, I know that people won't believe this. I was like really sweet and innocent. I was so sweet and innocent. I was voted most likely to become a religious leader. And so I was never invited to the parties and stuff, and I never did anything. So I'm having fun now because I'm making up for all that time.
Well,
That's the way
I
it
think
should be.
aren't you making that dream come true now?
Yes, absolutely. Because, well, I mean, Halloween's always been a big deal for me. Even growing up, we did stuff, but my mom used to make our costumes and stuff, and I loved it. And we used to watch horror movies like all the time. So that's where the love started. But I never had the confidence to dress, you know, the way I really wanted to, because I really wanted to be a little bit more, you know, exciting instead of
And of
so.
course, we goth kids, we wear black on the outside because that's how we feel on the inside.
Yeah, dark black. Yes. Yeah.
And
I mean, I
Harvey
did express myself
Firestein
a
would
little.
always say, "I'm gonna grab that black stuff on the inside of you and show it to you. I'm Harvey Firestein, and I've just hijacked this transmission.
Who was
Harvey Firestein is suddenly my new favorite among the YouTube kids. I went on to a show just to pop in and say hi, because I'd done 4 appearances yesterday, actually. No,
Oh, wow.
the day before yesterday. And streaming like all day long.
Oh, wow.
And it was fun. And suddenly I just decided Harvey Firestein has got to come out. And he's got to say some things about his favorite movie that he was in, which was called The Birdcage.
Yes.
And at that time, Hank Azaria was a very handsome man.
Yeah. At the time, what happened? I haven't seen him since. Wait.
Well, now he's in a series called Brockmire. He's still a very handsome man.
Yeah.
But I've always looked up to Hank Azaria because he does so many voices.
Yes.
I mean, God forbid anything
good.
should happen to Hank Azaria, but
Yeah.
without Hank Azaria, there would be no Simpsons.
Yeah.
true.
Oh God, I know.
There would be three characters,
He's so fabulous.
and he plays everything else.
Loved him in Tu Wong Fu.
I have not seen that.
I liked him in The Birdcage.
Loved him in The Birdcage. He was so good.
And he always was rather buff,
Yeah.
very good looking. You know,
Yeah.
had that famous 5 o'clock shadow that made bands like Wham go skyrocket to the top of the charts in Great Britain anyway. And yes, he's Harvey's favorite.
Nice.
And Harvey Firestein is still around. He's 67 years old.
Wow.
And he's still doing Broadway.
That's
And I think that's
awesome.
fantastic.
No, it's fabulous.
It's
I
wonderful.
think it's, you know, a lot of people always say that when people start getting to Broadway, that means their career's kind of putting the brakes on the career. But I think Broadway is such a way to bring out that natural raw talent. I mean, you have no cut, let's try it again. That's it. And I think that when they show up on Broadway, they're just showing the goods, the real talent.
Well, let me tell you, when you tread the boards night after night in the same play over and over for years, if it's a very good show, and most of mine are, you get to be very good at your craft. And then somebody asks you to do a film, and you're like, oh, we get rehearsal. Great.
Right. Right.
But yeah, ask people like Sir Patrick Stewart if Broadway is important, or the West End in his case. The West End, make it so.
Yes.
And people like Hugh Jackman has done lots of Broadway.
Yeah.
What a good-looking man. What a great actor. And the only person I think who could ever play Wolverine.
Oh yeah.
I have no idea what they're going to do when they bring the X-Men into the MCU.
Sorry. That came out of nowhere. Sorry.
He's fabulous.
Fabulous. I'm cracking up at Mexican Iron Man over here. Hi, by the way, he's having.
I knew Mexican Iron Man was going to give me a hard time. What is he saying about me?
Oh my God.
I'd like to do it in his voice, but yeah, he's one.
Hello, Wookiee Fever.
Wookie fever. Wookie fever.
Hello, son of a red shirt. I believe I got a request specifically from son of a red shirt to do Harvey Firestein. Uh-oh. Good God, Lord Almighty. What the hell happened to Cardinal Sin's face? This is some kind of face-off sequel. Did an Air France flight crash and a meme escaped? Someone call 911. And Tracy, would you read this chat for me?
Sure. Let me see here. Very rare, an original film like La Cage aux Folles takes second place to the sequel, and Harvey Firestein, along, of course, with the legendary Gene Hackman, is a great reason it did.
Gene Hackman's always good.
Oh, God, yes.
He's fantastic. He's fabulous. What an actor. Maria.
Oh, God.
Another one from Mexican Iron Man.
I'm going to have to put my glasses on. How did these two smart, smoking hot ladies get stuck on YouTube Vortex with a zombie meme?
I'd like to see Mexican Iron Man have the guts to do some clown white and, black lipstick. I think that would take a lot of guts for someone like Mexican Iron Man. But he's a sweetheart, He comes off all, big and scary like a bear. And, he's a sweetheart. He's a pussycat.
I love him.
I'm sorry I'm mixing my Harvey Firestein with a little bit of Christopher Walken. It just happens. I'm sorry. It's like every time I start doing a Bill Clinton, and Hillary and I would like to thank the American people for supporting us during this difficult time, it inevitably turns into a Jimmy Stewart. I don't know why. Mary, don't you know who I am? Mary.
Natural progression. There you go.
I kind of get my accents confused, too. Oy vey, oy vey, oy vey.
Hail Captain Trek. And hail low-spec Linux laptop.
Wait, no, please.
I still got Wookiee fever.
Go sit down, Mama. Come on. Go. Oh, my God, you're huge. Oh, my God. Okay.
Mexican Iron Man says, I am not wearing makeup or lipstick. The only lipstick on my face will be from kisses from the ladies.
From the ladies.
Period.
Well, you know what? But I have the one that doesn't come off. So I'm going to have to kiss really hard because that just doesn't come off.
Mexican ladies, man. I love it. All right, let's talk some horror host history.
Let's get serious.
Yep. So, we will talk about the early horror hosts, and I will show you some pictures. And I have to share my screen to do that. That's something I've forgotten I have to do. I only stream every day. It's different when you can't see.
Another feeling. Oh my God, what did I do with my glasses? Oh, they're on my face. Okay.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot.
Oh my God.
So this is Bob Wilkins.
Oh my gosh.
And the very interesting thing about Bob Wilkins is that he was sort of the historian of horror hosts. And he ran his show for a long time, and he just kind of was a laid-back horror host who would introduce the films and give you the trivia and tell you all about what garbage you were seeing. So just as a beginning here, I'm going to see if I can go over here. We don't want to see that. Okay, so there is Vampira.
Oh, God, yes, I remember her. And that tiny 19-inch waist.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, absolutely. And then on the other side, we have Dr. Shock. But we're going to talk a little bit about Vampira. Horror hosts on local TV stations shepherded us through the night using their quirky, macabre personas to introduce movies that were creepy or terrible back before cable and streaming. And the figure who emerged as the national embodiment of the concept was Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. And everyone knows about Elvira. Mm-hmm. But Elvira could never have happened without dozens of local heroes who created the genre, including Ghoulardi, Zachary, Sinister Seymour, and of course, most controversially, Vampira, played by Mela Numi. And the movies were often laughable, drive-in fare like The Beach Girls and the Monster, Son of Frankenstein, and The Creature from the Black Lagoon meets Dracula's Daughter. And in this pre-internet age, you got what you got. And if the movie was awful, the host had to make the show worth watching. Local horror hosts on regional TV shows with names like Creature Feature and Shock Theater portrayed ghouls, mad scientists, and mock European counts who cracked wise about the movies with a DIY ethos. It was a form of stand-up or sketch comedy, except it wasn't always funny, but it was always weird. From Los Angeles to Cleveland and Detroit to New Orleans, regional horror hosts donned, I'm sorry, I meant to say Nolans, donned grease paint and inspired their young fans to fall in love with genre films. Some of the most famous, like Count Gore, Zachary, and Vampira, inspired an undying fandom, but the impact of each of these horror hosts from the groovy era can't be underestimated. Now, something that most people don't know is, I'm sorry, I can't see. Something that most people don't know is that the very first horror host was the announcer from an independent TV station in Wichita, Kansas. When the Shock package came around, he decided to become the world's first horror host back in the early 60s. Wow. The other horror hosts started popping up all over the place, and here in the Kansas City market, we had Friday Fright Night, Cremation Mortem on the Saturday Night Creature Feature, and then on Sundays at noon, we were treated to Science Fiction Adventure Theater, schlocky films from Japan, Italy, anything that was either public domain, like Night of the Living Dead, or that the rights were so cheap that they could get the films. And these films often got bundled together, the nudity and excessive gore cropped out, and many already questionable films became even more questionable. I get a dry mouth, when I perform. So Vampira, from 1954 to 1955, Vampira ruled Los Angeles. Even though the Vampira show was only on the air for 8 months, it managed to set the standard for what a late-night movie show looked like. Sauntering out of the dense fog, Vampire, played by Mila Nurmi, beckoned to the viewer with her sharp, claw-like fingernails and jabbed them and the films with caustic horror. And like many of the copycats that followed, the Vampira show was created as a way to show inexpensive and in some cases free horror movies that needed a hook beyond their mere existence. And even if the movies were bad, at least Vampira was fun to watch. In 1981, Nuri had an opportunity to bring Vampira back to TV on the Los Angeles station KHJ-TV. In the process of creating the show, Cassandra Peterson was hired as Elvira, a vampire-like character, without Nurmi's permission. Nurmi quit and filed an unsuccessful lawsuit against Peterson. Vampira, by the way, appeared along with Swedish wrestler Tor Johnson in Ed Wood's masterpiece, Plan 9 from Outer Space. So if you were able to look at the names of every regional horror show in America, you'd find that most of them were called something like Shock Theater, because that was the name of the package that the creatures of the night, I don't know, the people responsible for this schlock. No one was trying to infringe on anyone's rights, and honestly, what's a better name than Shock Theater? WJW-TV in Cleveland, Ohio, played host to Ghoulardi, a super cool hipster who had a beard, custom pins, and glasses with no lenses. And his show ran from 1963 to 1966. And Ghoulardi's show made prominent use of the people around the station. Weatherman Bob Wells and even Tim Conway, yes, that Tim Conway, played bit parts on Cleveland's Shock Theater. Aside from being one of the first horror hosts to make use of his surroundings, he was the first horror host to really antagonize the films. As with Vampira, many later hosts would crib from Ghoulardi's work. And it's important to remember that without Vampira, we would have no Elvira, but we do. So let's go ahead and find, there's Ghoulardi, and the guy who played Ghoulardi was the announcer for ABC television for 20 years.
Really?
Yep, he would announce the movie of the week and everything on ABC. That was Ghoulardi.
Yeah,
right there.
I remember Ghoulardi, yes.
Everyone remembers Ghoulardi. I still have to work on my Harvey Fierstein, but I'm getting there.
Well, there's one, and I don't know if you know her, but she She was also a from the 60s California. She was actually a newscaster for the Channel 10, and her name was Mona Lisa, Moona.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought she was pretty hot. And you don't hear much about her, but she did mostly like sci-fi stuff, science fiction theater, but still around the same time. But you just don't hear about her much.
I'm actually trying to pull up some data on her, but I'll let you guys laugh at me while I try to see.
I wouldn't do that. That's me all the time. What y'all saying up there? Stream Elements wanting us to buy coffee.
I think I may have closed the page.
Oh.
Bag of downers.
I gotta close all my porn tabs.
Yeah, we don't want those coming up by mistake.
So there's Ghoulardi from Cleveland with all his pins, and he used to make fun of all the people that lived in Parma, which was a suburb of Cleveland, and he would make fun of all of them, and at their expense, he would just and like I said, he would antagonize the audience. But he was very famous, and like I said, he was the announcer for ABC TV, Wide World of Sports, Disney, all that kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
So he was very cool. Let's see. There's the Shock Theater package. And I'm going to get to every one of these. There's Zachary, the cool ghoul. There's Vampira. Now, what did I do with Elvira? Elvira, hello? No. What did I just do?
There she is. Next one over.
There she is. Everyone knows Elvira.
Yes.
Did you know that Cassandra Peterson dated Elvis?
Huh. Did not.
It's true.
Did not know that.
That's awesome.
Excuse me while I kick a Russian troll bot out of the chat.
I saw that.
He is no more.
I think I have a friend who's friends with her, so I would so love to get her on my show.
She would
Wouldn't
be
that
fun.
be awesome?
She would be fun.
She has a very fun personality from
Yeah.
some of the things that I've seen, and just very full of life
Yeah.
for a horror host.
Very down to earth and really sweet.
And hail the lovely Sherry.
The lovely
I'm going to have to ask a mod to boot the Russian bots out because for some reason my computer doesn't know how to do that. So have at it.
Isn't she lovely?
And yes, we have the lovely Sherry on with Cassandra Peterson, who was born in Manhattan, Kansas, which is about an hour away from where I live.
Really?
So, up yours, Dwight Eisenhower.
So does she still live in the same area, do you know, or is she relocated
I know she
elsewhere?
keeps a home there, but I think that she's kind of an LA type. There used to be a show. It was kind of a reality show, but I'm pretty sure it was scripted, and I think it was called something like The Next Elvira. And this would have been, I don't know, 10 years ago maybe. And she made the case that it was time for another Elvira, and so she had no shortage of women that came to apply. But in the end, after I think a season or two, she crowned the winner. But these were all models and very few actresses, and none of them could really get the tongue-in-cheek aspect of Elvira's show down.
Yeah.
They were all, not stage fright type people, but they just didn't have that, snappy comeback to the films and that Valley Girl. Oh my God, this movie is so bad. I'm so sorry. I can't believe that my producer made me put this movie on. So Elvira was wonderful, and she's still going.
I know.
Yeah.
I think I like her. Well, I think what makes it hard for the models is that she didn't care if she got a little dirty, like if she looked messed up, like that kind of dirty, like, she always looked good. I mean, she'd look good in a potato sack, but she wasn't afraid. If her hair was out of place or if her makeup was out of place, she just played the part and she played it well. And when you get a model to do that, oh gosh,
Chip a nail and it's all over.
Yeah, that's
absolutely
where it comes in.
Yeah.
So I could see that, and plus they probably didn't want to do that tongue-in-cheek thing because I can't imagine, that. Oh my God, but people are gonna, associate.
I think they just didn't have that special combination that Cassandra Peterson had.
No.
She was the hostess with the mostest, and
It'd be hard to replace her.
it made it possible for many young prepubescent male to endure puberty.
Yes.
Fortunately for me, I had already done that by the time I discovered Elvira.
Yeah.
But you never know. There are lots of those, from the pinup girls to Elvira to whatever the kids are into today. I don't know.
I don't either. I don't have. Tracy knows. She's got offspring.
I do have offspring. They're 12 and 14, but they are Fortnite people. They love to play Fortnite. They're not into movie stars or actors, at least not yet. They haven't had that desire.
The really interesting thing is with the dawn of the web sort of 2.0, I'm sorry, my keyboard is falling down.
Yeah, it's village. Village going on.
Around 2000 or so, there started to be web-based horror hosts, and I know a few. I was involved in writing several episodes, and I even appeared in a couple of our local one here in Lawrence, Kansas, which was the basement sublet of horror.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Sweet.
And this one is signed by Gunther Dedmond, the host, to me for my birthday.
Oh, wow. That would have been fun.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah.
And
I think if
let's
I had the
see.
equipment, I would have done that.
Well, you have the equipment now,
Now,
sweetheart.
That's
yeah.
it.
Now I'm bringing those hosts on to my show. I've also, obviously, I've interviewed a few of them and some really good ones, fun ones.
And if we could find enough public domain films to run on YouTube, God only knows what they would do. But like I said, Night of the Living Dead is a public domain film, the original black and white 1968 film, which is hardly a horror film by today's standards. All of these movies that we're talking about, from the Shock Theater package to MST3K to the kids that are doing it today are pretty tame. For people that think that they don't like horror movies, these aren't horror movies in that sense. They're not slasher flicks, although Joe Bob Briggs, who is a close personal friend of mine, is doing a show on Shudder called The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs.
Oh, wow.
And of course, he started out doing a show called Joe Bob Briggs Dead in Concert, which was recorded, and I used to have a VHS of. And he also put together a group of films on VHS called The Sleaziest Movies in the History of the World.
Sleaziest.
And the beginning was the same on all the films. And he would talk about he would go to this drive-in movie theater that had been abandoned and it was in disrepair, and he would talk about how the Indians of Texas, the Muckalukahine Indians, used to worship the 3 B's: blood, breasts, and beasts. And then he would go up into the projection booth, and he would do the introduction for that particular movie, and then at the end, he would do end caps. So at the end, he would talk about some of the trivia and things like that. Showed a lot of Herschel Gordon Lewis movies, a lot of Nude movies, because at the time, they were completely legal to show because the nudity wasn't erotic. It was, they would film a movie like one of the sleaziest movies in the history of the world that I used to have was called Nude on the Moon. So they shot it in a nudist colony, and all the beautiful belles on the moon were nude. And actually the creator of those nudie movies, and we're talking 60s, definitely, I forget her name, but she directed something like 7 or 8 films up until she was in her 60s, and then they changed the rules, and so she stopped. But I think it took a lot of guts, and it was cool that it was a woman that was doing it, I think.
Yeah. No, it is cool. When you have a woman, because most of the time when people assume it's a man, but when a woman does it, especially during that time, it's not about the nudity. There's something more to it, either showing a vulnerability or just a natural environment or something like
Well,
that.
in one of the movies, Nude on the Moon, that I remember, it would start off with a rocket ship taking off from Earth, and of course, all rocket ship movies, the rocket looked exactly the same, because at the time, in the United States, we had the Gemini program, and the rocket just looked the same, and there was no space shuttle. This was way before the space shuttle or any of the secret space program. They do have a secret space program because it's not NASA. It's done by the Air Force, and you may have seen the little space shuttle that they have. It's small because it doesn't have to contain any people, and it has solar panels all over it, and it lands once a year, and the rest of the time it's taking pictures of other countries. So it lands, I think, at Vandenberg Air Force Base, and they take all the film out and they put new film in or whatever they do. And I'm not sure exactly how I got started on this topic. I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's an interesting topic though, because the space travel, and I've been reading about some of the different theories, and it's a huge topic, that's for sure. It's kind of
It is. And Son of a Red Shirt says, my favorite Cassandra Peterson quote, "Honey, I wear a push-up bra that would give a greyhound cleavage." I don't know if he meant that she said a greyhound bus or just a greyhound. Yes, and a lot of these either inexpensive to get the rights movies or public domain movies are being released in 4K. And I have a few of them to show you.
Nice.
Why they're being made, I'm not sure. It's definitely a niche audience.
Obviously.
A niche audience.
Obviously, there's some popularity in that, because I've been waiting for Three's Company to go 4K, and I'm still waiting.
You may be waiting a long time.
Yeah, but it's not there.
So back to our lesson for today. So there's Cassandra Peterson as Elvira. And let me see what I have to tell you about Elvira.
Girl crush.
Let's see. Oh, yes. We already talked about the lawsuit.
Yes.
And so next we're going to talk about Sinister Seymour. If I can find him. There's Goulardi.
Suddenly Seymour.
I think that's Sinister Seymour there. There we go.
Oh my goodness.
And from 1969 to 1974, actor Larry Vincent portrayed the spooky host with an Undertaker's fashion sense. And Seymour on the shows Fright Night for KHJ TV and Seymour's Monster Rally on KTLA. And Seymour was a major part of the great Los Angeles area's love of low-budget horror, and he brought a gravitas to the role that could have been incredibly silly. From 1982 to 1985, yet another shock theater excited horror fans in the Dayton, Ohio area. And this was Dr. Creep. So let me find Dr. Creep. That's Google. That's no good. There's Dr. Creep.
Wow.
And he was played by Barry Hobart, and it was sort of a Dr. Caligari-looking ghoul who shocked and entertained on WKEF. And Dr. Creep's shtick was always aired on the side of comedy. Hobart was also a guy that hosted a children's show, and many of these horror hosts did host children's shows. But the series was similar to other shows at the time. And during his time on the show, Dr. Creep ran for president. And toward the end of the series, he began hosting a series called Saturday Night Dead that played before NBC's Saturday Night Live. No one said that horror hosts were subtle. And this was the television equivalent of going to a friend's for Halloween and closing your eyes and feeling spaghetti and having them tell you it was brains.
Yeah. I remember doing that. I still do that.
And so I am scrolling to see what I have here to share with you.
I will say the costumes that these hosts had worn, not only are they unique, but they're lovely. Like your previous image with that other host, like his costume and his decor are just amazing. You don't see that kind of, you don't see that.
Attention to detail, yeah.
Not today. No.
Svengoolie? The Svengoolie one?
You stop me
Yeah,
when I get
think
there.
so.
Yeah, Svengoolie's something else.
Svengoolie, yes.
Svengoolie.
And there's Zachary. And Zachary was such a big deal that he recorded Dinner with Drac, which was the B-side for the single The Monster Mash.
Oh, interesting.
And I used to have that record. The reason that I'm interested in horror and schlock is because of my big brother. And he was really into horror. He had a huge life-sized or almost life-sized picture of Boris Karloff in the Frankenstein makeup. And he had it on the inside of his door to his room. So when you close the door, there's Frankenstein's monster. So let's check out another photo here. We already got Bob Willis. I think I just might have closed something that I needed.
That happens.
Especially when you can't see.
You know,
And this is Ghoulardi with a friend.
yeah.
And Ghoulardi was particularly interesting because he had a shtick. He would pretend to have a wife behind the curtain, and he would constantly berate her and tell her to go away and get back in the coffin. And he would bring out things like the spaghetti for brains, except it had the meatballs with it.
Oh, gosh.
And it was supposed to be sort of schlocky gore. And he was just hilarious. And he would go out to children's events and make personal appearances, cutting the ribbon at shopping malls and things like that. And he was a really interesting personality. And we unfortunately lost Zachary several years ago. And I remember being unhappy because I hadn't seen any of his programs. When he was on, there were a few people that had primitive VCRs or recording equipment, or they would do what's called a kinotrope, and they would just take photos or 8mm film of the TV. And that's how a lot of these things survived. He said while wetting his whistle. I forgot I can't touch my face.
Oops, I forgot mine was on mute. I remember having to wait till midnight to get the good shows back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. Sorry, my cats are just like, "Hey, you're busy. Let me help you out."
Well, the Black Cat is one of the movies that they used to show on these programs.
Yeah, I mean, but it was just so. I don't know why. I mean, I would get so tired by the time it came on, but that's when the good stuff came on, midnight, back in the day. But then what was harsh was that was also back in the day where the TV would turn off, like you'd get static after the Star Spangled Banner, and you're like, dang.
That's when I would catch a lot of those movies when I was like babysitting, and it would be, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and the greatest movie would come on, and awesome.
A lot of things happen late at night, like the music.
I think that's when the freaks come out, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I was always out.
Of course, the schlock package. I'm sorry, the shock package included all of the Universal films. Here is a make myself big here. Here is the 4K steelbook of the Wolfman.
Wow.
Nice.
And this is a limited edition. So that's in Ultra 4K, and it's got a little Blu-ray with it.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Jealous.
But that's not all.
Of course it isn't.
I'm just getting started. You guys remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
The Invisible Man.
Mm-hmm. And not the Chevy Chase one, people.
Right. Also in 4K with a Blu-ray.
Wow.
Wow. Fun to have. Yes.
What else do I have in my box of delights? Creatures of the night.
Of course.
What
Nice.
music they make. This is the 90th anniversary edition.
Oh my gosh.
Can you
90th.
believe it?
90th anniversary.
Dracula
Wow.
in 4K.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I woke up to that this morning because I sleep with the TV on, and I woke up and that was on.
And you guys probably know this, but many don't. That when they were filming Dracula during the day, Todd Browning would direct the Bela Lugosi and everybody, and then during the night they would have a Spanish language team come in, and they would use the same sets, the same script, obviously in Spanish, and if you ever get a chance to see the Spanish language Dracula, you should, because many people consider it superior to the Bela Lugosi version, and I happen to be one of them.
I actually did see it.
You
It
have
was
seen
good.
it.
Yes.
What do you
It's
think?
been a while. I loved it.
Did
I thought it was-
you like it better than Bella?
Oh God, that'd be hard to say yes to, but I did.
How can you like it better than Bella, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, you're like, ugh, but it was good.
The
Yes.
4K of Frankenstein,
Nice.
also with the 4K and the Blu-ray. It's alive!
Oh.
It's alive! Alive!
Oh God, those are awesome. I want some. I want that. That'd be an awesome Valentine's gift, right?
Yeah.
Screw the jewelry.
collection.
And this is really not part of what we're talking about, but I thought I'd show it to you anyway, because this literally just became available. I pre-ordered it.
Oh,
wow.
wow.
And that's a slasher flick. And that's not what
Of
we're
course,
talking about.
but-
But boy, is it cool.
Nice.
I have not seen that one yet.
Well, you
It-
have to see the 2018 movie first.
Right.
And what they do is, actually, the way it happened was really interesting. A young filmmaker and screenwriter asked if they could have a meeting with John Carpenter, and they did. And they showed him the script, and they laid out, how it would work. And they basically stopped it at the first Halloween movie, and everything after that was decanonized. And then the 2018 Halloween came out. No thanks to Rob Zombie.
I was gonna say.
And John Carpenter and his son did the music for the movie. And it was directed by one of the guys that came up with the idea. And then the sequel was this one, and the music was much better. They, for some reason, just hit it, whatever it was, and it was really cool. So, let's see what other comments we have here. I will go ahead and make myself small again.
Crumble, come on, dude.
Andy Masterson says, my dad saw Frankenstein in the theater for a nickel.
Wow.
How cool is that?
That's crazy. I can't even get like a girl's little thing in the machine in the bathroom for a nickel.
Yeah, you can't even get a piece of bubble gum for a nickel.
I know.
And who doesn't love the OG Frankenstein? Karloff himself.
I know.
And you know what's interesting? In the first Frankenstein film, he was billed as Boris Karloff. After that, he was never billed as Boris Karloff again. Just Karloff. Which, of course, wasn't his real name.
Really?
That's all that they had to do. Claude Rains, what a legend. Yes, of course. Also fantastic in the original Wolfman. Todd Browning masterpiece. And Hale, the murder hornet, left a comment on my last video. So, okay, thank you. I appreciate the engagement. YouTube really likes the interaction when you leave a comment and I can reply. That shows the algorithm that I'm trying, even though I'm only at 626 subscribers or whatever it is. We'll get there, right? Right, ladies?
Yeah.
Yes.
We'll get there.
Yes. We'll get it done. Oh my God, why are you being so nosy tonight?
Oh, he's adorable.
Oh, Frumple. Asshole.
Uh-oh. A snorter. We have a snorter.
You got mad because I didn't pet him. Sorry. It scared
Because
me.
you have those wonderfully feminine small nostrils.
Sorry.
I'm looking for what I wrote about Joe Bob Briggs, and it's gone. So I will improvise. As I mentioned before, Joe Bob Briggs is a close personal friend of mine, and that's basically what is on all of his merch. On the front, it says Joe Bob Briggs, and on the back it says is a close personal friend of mine. So if you're a fan or you've ever ordered any of his merch, you're a close personal friend.
Oh,
Now, Joe Bob Briggs, like I said, started out doing actually the very first thing he did as John Bloom, his real name, was to co-author a true crime novel, and he graduated from Vanderbilt University and became a journalist. And the book, and the name of the book I don't remember, but it won, I want to say, a Pulitzer. I don't remember exactly what it won, but it was a big time award for someone's first book.
Oh, wow.
And then he, got into the Joe Bob Briggs persona. He wrote 4 books, one of which I have right here. So I'll make myself big again. I like to make myself big. I don't know why. So this book is called Profoundly Disturbing. And it's shocking movies that changed history. And I have an autographed copy, which I keep upstairs. It's wonderful to see that the sense of humor starts right on the first page.
Oh, I love it.
Nice.
And so these are movies to stay well away from. But they did change history. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, Mom and Dad. Have you ladies heard of the film Mom and Dad?
No.
Interesting. Creature from the Black Lagoon, And God Created Woman, The Curse of Frankenstein, Blood Beast, The Wild Bunch, Shaft, Deep Throat, The Exorcist, Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Drunken Master, Reservoir Dogs, Crash. And, of course, Joe Bob Briggs had his first drive-in movie critic show on Showtime, and it was called Joe Bob Briggs Goes to the Drive-In. And they used to show these kinds of movies. And then that went for 5 years, and it got canceled. And within a day, literally 24 hours later, he had a deal with Ted Turner on TNT and did Monster Vision for 5 years.
Wow.
And I was in touch with him a lot at that time, and it was my favorite show. I still have VHS tapes.
I remember that.
Loads and loads of those. Let me know if you guys can see that.
Can see that. Wow.
And this goes through the history of the movies and also has extra insight. And of course, because I'm moving, I took all of my schlocky movies to my new place, so I can't hold them up and show them to you, which is probably just as well. And he also acknowledges, of course, the seminal film Metropolis.
Nice.
Which I watched the other day, and it just blew me away. I couldn't believe it. So this is Mom and Dad.
Oh, wow.
And it sounds innocuous enough, right?
Yeah.
So, what would happen would be that the probably the director, I don't know, would go from town to town, and this was back, when nudity, like I said, was allowed if it was educational or if it was not erotic. And they would, put up flyers and all kinds of signs saying, you must see this film, and that, and all kinds of reverse psychology. Do not let anyone in below the age of 18, and we're not responsible if you have a heart attack, all that kind of stuff.
Oh my gosh.
And what they did is they showed pictures of venereal disease and what could happen if you weren't careful.
Wow.
And his column here after Mom and Dad is for further disturbance. I don't think I'll ever see Mom and Dad. But he does, of course, go on to talk about Reefer Madness.
Oh my gosh, I remember that. Which nowadays are like,
marijuana, the deadly marijuana.
ban that movie.
And, of course, we have the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Right.
Of course.
And you guys have seen the creature from the Black Lagoon,
Oh,
right?
yeah, of course.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
And the stunt man from the creature from the Black Lagoon ended up just playing the whole part. They eventually kicked the actor out. It's the classic Monsterland plot and the oldest formula in the world. A misunderstood creature and a beautiful girl have a psychic connection verging on love. I had all of Joe Bob Briggs' books autographed, and of course now I can't find them. So here it looks like we have a photo from The Incredible Shrinking Man.
Oh my gosh, I remember that too. That's
Oh, wow.
Up.
Yeah.
And that's not forced perspective. That's real small. And of course, and God created woman. Which I think if they remade it today, those woke wanksters would have to call it And God Created Man.
Mm-hmm.
And they would have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one.
Yeah. This looks like a good
And-
book. I might have to check it out.
What's that?
I said it looks like a good book. I might have
It
to
is.
check it out.
It is.
to my
And you can
collection.
find a copy pretty easily. This
Yeah.
was a mass market paperback.
Very nice.
Now, of course, we get into the Hammer horror, of which
Hammer horror.
many of these shows used.
Nice.
Yeah, Hammer horror is good.
Yeah, and again, not scary, not scary. Javi Fierstein won't watch a scary movie, but the Curse of Frankenstein is just a very fashionable film.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing these movies when I was a little kid. I was a latchkey kid, and my mom was an alcoholic, so I could manipulate the hell out of her.
Oh gosh.
And I remember on Friday Fright Night, they would start at 10:30, and sometimes they would have a triple feature. So I would make something called roe dip. Do you ladies know what roe dip is?
Oh my gosh, no, but
No.
I have my own dip version for
You
those.
take an entire block of Velveeta
Velveeta.
and you put Rotel tomatoes in it,
Yes.
and with is it
Chili.
a Dutch oven? The two,
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Rock
yeah.
body kind of thing. Oh
yeah, you would
oh.
boil the water in the bottom pan, and then the one on top of that would have the Velveeta and the roe
Okay.
dip in it, and you just stir it, and then eat all of it in one sitting with chips, and it was wonderful.
It sounds kind of like mine, except I like to put some ground beef in mine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's all kinds of different flavors and things you can do with it. Now, because I'm a vegan, I can't have roe dip, but I can watch Blood Feast.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Herschel Gordon Lewis. And more grisly than ever in blood color. Nothing so appalling in the annals of horror. Starring Playmate of the Month Connie Mason, who couldn't act to save her life. And so these films were sort of, if you'll pardon the play on words, the lifeblood of these horror hosts. Excuse me. And my brother, the one I mentioned that had the big bellow or Karloff
Right.
as Frankenstein on his door, became an actor and was in a lot of B movies. And in Kansas City, one year there was an event called Horror on the Boulevard.
Oh wow.
And he had a table, and the original, I think Jason from Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Okay.
There were like 4 people that played Jason.
Yeah.
The original one was the main event. He was, why everybody was there. But they had lots of other people there. My brother had a table because he was in, what was it called? Zombiegeddon, Zombiegeddon 2, and Zombiegeddon 3. And then he was in a movie that was really good. And I
You
really
mean
liked it.
those weren't good?
No, they were horrible. They were made by a guy that didn't know how to make movies. And of course, the blaxploitation movie Shaft, very important film, which changed movies forever.
But I'm talking about Shaft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Let's see here. Of course, another profoundly disturbing film.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I don't think I've seen that yet. I've only heard of it.
You probably don't need to. I can tell you off air what the plot is, and you won't want to see it. And of course, everyone's favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
The Exorcist. Scared the piss out of me.
That's in 4K, I think.
It is.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite movies. I love that movie.
And you know what? The second Exorcist movie was crap, which was unfortunate because it had Richard Burton in it. But the third one was great. And it starred George C. Scott and a young Brad Dourif, who played a serial killer who was possessed by demons or devils or something. I don't know.
An angry
and of course, you know,
Omen.
The Omen was a big,
Yeah.
it had a big effect on me because I was too young to see these films, but I could buy the books. And for instance, the Omen, the book, was written by David Seltzer. Praise David Seltzer. And he made the plot of the book not only to fill out more of the story, but it was more grisly, it was more sexy, which I shouldn't have been. Hello, hello.
You know, it's kind of like, it reminds me of when you said
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I think I did something to the little remote that I have here, but the Omen was so much gnarlier and nastier in the book than it was in the movie. The same thing with Logan's Run. In Logan's Run, the here's the 4K of Logan's Run, written by my pal William F. Nolan and his friend George Clayton Johnson, both of whom wrote for The Twilight Zone.
Really? Wow.
In the movie Logan's Run, I guess I didn't open it. I guess there's a poster. Oh my gosh. Now I'm fiddling with too many things. So in the movie of Logan's Run, you guys have seen Logan's Run, right?
I have not seen it. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the movie Logan's Run, last day, which is when you report to Carousel, renew, and everybody's floating around. Everyone whose timer has gone red, they report to Carousel, and it's said that they are renewed, but in fact they are destroyed and turned to ash. And in the movie, it happens on your 30th birthday. In the book, it happens on your 21st birthday.
Oh, wow.
So I was like 11 years old, and I was reading the book, and there was a passage that I can't ever forget, even, no matter how bad my memory is, that was dialogue that was taking place between two women. And they were discussing how awesome the sex was with an 11-year-old.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's when I knew I was in too deep.
You're like, okay.
Yeah.
Walking back slowly.
I didn't know. I had no idea. All the Omen movies are good. The first one is great. Now, here we have Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS. And this is what's called an exploitation film. So, it's a horror film because even the SS feared her. The most dreaded Nazi of them all. And of course, she would make the prisoners do things. Quote, "Once a prisoner has slept with me," says Ilsa, She-Wolf of the SS, "he will never sleep with a woman again. If he lives, he will remember only the pain of my knife." "The knife?" gulps her lover, tied naked on a wooden operating table. "Castrate him."
Oh my goodness.
So that's a kind of a horror movie.
Yeah,
there.
well, yeah.
That would be unnerving, yes.
I mean, anything that has to do with, a knife to the meat and two veg, that's
Yeah.
that's automatic.
The meat and two veg, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's automatic scare.
And then, of course, we have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, these aren't movies. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is not a movie that you would see on a horror host program.
No.
Or if you did, it would be cut down to about 20 minutes.
There's not much you can do with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The beginning of the movie features kids in a Rasta bus, like a VW bus. And they are going down the highway, and they run out of gas, of course. And they go to the nearest farmhouse, and let's just say wacky hijinks ensue. Occasionally, some of these films would be more Hong Kong theater kind of films. And Drunken Master is perhaps Jackie Chan's greatest movie that he made in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
He refused for decades to do it the Hollywood way. And finally, without being able to break in, he gave in and, did films like Rush Hour, the Rush Hour trilogy, the one with Owen Wilson, Shanghai Noon, Shanghai Nights, whatever. And Jackie Chan actually had his butt kicked by Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon. He was a stuntman, and Bruce Lee hit him really hard, and it was the sort of thing where he kind of faked being okay, and then from then on, every day, Bruce Lee would come up to Jackie Chan and shake his hand and say something nice. And so eventually, of course, these kind of movies turned into Tarantino movies. And you can't forget Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
Oh,
a
God.
genuine Frankenstein movie, and a very good one. By that time, I believe Frankenstein's monster was played by Glenn Strange. He was the fourth actor or something like that to portray the monster. Bela Lugosi actually turned down the role of Frankenstein's monster because he had no lines. And for a guy with a Hungarian accent that was so thick you could barely understand him, it would have been the perfect role. And it would have cemented him in horror movie history forever. But instead, he passed because he thought he was the biggest star in Hollywood. And it allowed Boris Karloff to become the biggest star in Hollywood.
Oh, wow.
So there you have it.
Nice. Well, that's fun for the whole family, and I think I'll have to get that.
Especially the little ones.
Especially the little ones. Yes.
And let's see what the chat has to say here. Did you know the girl in The Exorcist won an award or Oscar, but they took it off her when they found out she was dubbed? Didn't know that. The Time Prophet.
Time.
A double boiler. Yes, thank you, Peter Graves. It's not the Peter Graves, the actor, who was in some really trashy B movies before he became a big deal. But it's my friend Peter Graves, who is a mod. And I'm just backing up to see what I missed while I was hogging the spotlight.
Very good, important horror history lessons, though. I didn't know lots of that stuff.
Has Cardinal ever seen a ghost? Yes. Is Cardinal doing whiteface? Yes.
But not the one other.
I am still trying to get my webpage done. I have screwed up some cascading style sheets somewhere, and my font is tiny, but I can't find where the problem is. LOL. Son of a Red Shirt has this to say. Maria, would you read that?
All right, sure. It's my first time here, and I was late. Embarrassed to say. I'm unfamiliar with tonight's guest. Any chance you would put a link up for me, please, pal? And I did see that Darius did put up some links to the channels, so he got that answered for him. But don't feel bad.
Excellent. And the Time Prophet says Metropolis is the best 3-hour silent movie you will ever see. I agree. And something very important to know about Metropolis is that it fell out of circulation for a long time. And very recently, in the 21st century, they found something like 80 minutes that was missing. And they were able to put it back together, put it in 4K, and it's magnifique.
Wow.
If you ever get a chance to see Metropolis or Nosferatu live with the Alloy Orchestra, go.
That would be interesting.
The Time Prophet says, "Hail, Maria and Tracy."
I vitamin drink and toasting with my vitamin.
I love the creature from the Black Lagoon. No, she is not my wife. I mean the movie.
Let's hope not.
That doesn't make a lot of sense.
My dad used to call me the ugliest creech feech in the whole wide world. And I was like, damn, man.
The Time Prophet says, Cardinal Sin, is that you in that book? No, sadly, no.
Hey, Jill, by the way, I haven't said hi.
Hello, anti-derivative Jill.
Anti-derivative.
Every time I say her name, I do it in my Boris Karloff. Anti-derivative Jill.
I've read, but I would think a French accent would be fun.
Tracy, will you read Peter's comment?
Dave Edmonds did a great version of the song, The Creature from the Black Lagoon.
I didn't even know there was a song for it.
I did not know.
Wow.
And the Time Prophet says, oh, I thought Cardinal Sin was going to be on tonight. Well,
Time.
You got the bonus plan. If you are a vegan, can you do the vegan sign? I don't know what that is. It's probably nasty.
Oh, gosh.
Hail, Jedi Bill. Jedi Bill is going to come on my channel soon, and we're going to have ourselves a hoedown. We're going to have ourselves a conversation, a talk, and we're gonna sort some stuff out. But nice. He is a personal friend of mine. Love Jedi Bill.
Nice.
And I love all the people in the audience equally. I love you all.
And I love you. Beautiful.
Everyone on the panel.
Beautiful.
I don't play favorites.
That's not what you told me backstage. No, I'm just kidding.
I like you best.
I know you're my bestest friend in the whole wide world. No.
Oh, so you could hear me when I couldn't hear myself. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jill. The Time Prophet is saying to anti-derivative Jill, I've never seen Cardinal Sin without his glasses. Well, that might not be a good thing. Yes, there was a TV series of Logan's Run, and it was god-awful. The movie is really good. I recommend the movie to everybody, even young people. Not necessarily the novelization. And Peter Graves says, thus, because of the Cure shirt that he's wearing.
Yes.
Because I am all gothed out this evening. And hail, Ivan Ivanovich. It's good to see you, my friend. Hope you are feeling better. Good evening. And Ivan Ivanovich says, well, it is a French movie. I think he must be referring to one of the movies that is not German. Son of a Red Shirt says, not only was Ilsa the she-wolf of the SS, she was also the harem keeper of the oil sheets and part-time tigress of Siberia. Wow, she really gets around. And I can make myself smaller. I agree.
That's right.
With the Time Prophet. Quentin Tarantino was a judge at for the Palme d'Or at the Cannes Film Festival, and he was quoted once as saying, "I do not do homage, I steal. The best directors steal." And except for a couple of his last films, he stole everything he ever did. His early films are all, ripped off of Hong Kong directors and stuff like that. Son of a Red Shirt. Tracy, would you read this one?
Jackie also tells how Bruce Lee felt so bad, he made sure that even though he was the most rookie stuntman from the day of the accident he was on set whenever possible, earning extra pay and hours. Legend.
Jackie Chan is a legend.
Yeah. I have his autograph. Yeah.
Do you really? Oh, how cool.
He's so sweet. Yeah, I do. It's a little tiny picture.
Maria, I'll let you take this one.
I identify with you being a latch kid. Sorry, my parents didn't care what I watched. I'm still scared from seeing The Exorcist at 6. You saw The Exorcist at
Scarred.
6.
Wow.
Scarred from seeing The Exorcist at 6.
Oh.
Yeah, I would be scarred
I can't
too.
read right.
I was
My
scarred
math
from
comes
whenever
in
I
the
saw
way.
it.
I was all sorry, scarred, not scared, scarred, but scared.
I'd be
too.
scared.
And of course,
scarred.
please subscribe to Tea Telly.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Everybody.
Everybody.
We'll leave that up for a while. Ladies, what are some of your favorite horror movies? Maria, let's start with you. And when I say horror movies, you know the kind I'm talking about. The schlock theater package type.
There's one that I kind of catch. What the heck? Oh gosh, the name of it is called. I should have it in my YouTube history because I just watched it last night.
Can you tell me a little bit about it? Maybe
Yeah.
I can come up with the name.
Yeah. So it's called Terror something. Terror. Oh God. And it starts out with this incredibly creepy guy at first, and he's going into their it's got to be in my YouTube history.
Is
I
it
just watched
Terror in the Isles?
No.
Do you know what Terror in the Isles is?
Yeah, I know what that one is, but it's not on that one. Oh my gosh, what is it called? It's in my history. Terror. Well, there's Terror in the Crypt, but that one's kind of bad quality the way they've been showing it, and that one's kind of creepy. But it's another one called Terror and something. And
yeah, there's a lot of movies that have terror in the title.
Yes,
you're going to have to help me winnow it down a little.
I'm trying to narrow it down here. I did remember see Terror in the Crypt. It's not that one. The Bat. I keep watching The Bat over and over.
Oh gosh.
That's a good one.
I love that one.
You know what? I'm a big Peter Lorre fan. When I was a kid, I watched Merry Melodies and Looney Tunes and all that stuff. And before I really knew, who any of these voices were, the people that voiced them, I learned how to imitate them. As you know,
of course,
imitating people is part of what I do. It's my cachet, if you will. And man, let me tell you, it's a lot of fun. But when I was 4 years old, my parents would get me out of bed when they had company and make me come downstairs in my pajamas and do imitations for company. Especially Peter Lorre. I actually got a part in a play, a summer stock play, because I could do a Peter Lorre. And the director's wife actually was casting, and she kept saying, okay, I need someone to do this lead role. And somebody would raise their hand, and she'd, okay, yeah. And it just kept going, and these parts just kept going. And I'm like raising my hand for everyone. I'm like, no, nothing. And then this play was Lil Abner, if you're familiar with Lil Abner.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a character in Lil Abner called Evil Eye Flegel.
Oh, God.
And he's kind of a Svengali type, you know.
Yeah.
And she said, okay, now I need someone that can do a Peter Lorre. And I shot my hand up. And I said, you mean like this? And she said, got it. Next. And I was like, oh, finally, I got a role. You know, it was only 17th down. And Tracy, how about you? Can you tell us about some of your favorite schlocky horror films?
Gosh, I'm not 100% sure. I can't think of anything that old. My most favorite old time movie is The Night of the Living Dead, though. I love those early zombie movies.
Have you seen the remake by Tom Savini?
How old is that one?
1990.
I probably did see that one.
That one has Patricia Tallman as an ass-kicking Barbara. You know, in the original movie, her brother, you know, was saying, "They're coming to get you, Barbara. They're coming to get you, Barbara," and they actually were coming to get Barbara. And then she had PTSD for the rest of the film. In the remake that Tom Savini did, she, you know, got a shotgun and used it.
Oh my gosh! I think
Mexican
I
Iron
did
Man.
that.
Cardinal Sin's face is so white, I feel oppressed as a brown dude just looking at him right now. I have no white privilege. I only have clown white privilege.
Oh, my gosh. Mexican Army. Oh, my God.
Oh, yes. Race with the Devil. Good one, Peter.
Dang it. And I may have to bow soon because I just saw the time and I've got a ceremony to do at 6.
Oh, is it time for us to wrap up? I guess it is.
It is.
All right. Well, I want to thank both of my guests, Maria and Tracy, for appearing on this very special edition of Cardinal Sin and Friends. And I will take us out with the intro because that's all I have.
Peace and love, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You've tuned in to Cardinal Sin and, where I, Cardinal Sin, discuss important pop culture news, reviews, movies, genre fiction, comics, storytelling, and just about anything else with my fellow YouTubers. Get ready for informed conversation about what's going on. For as your humble host, I rely on my guests to provide the talking points, whether it's a panel or just me one-on-one with a friend. So get ready for Cardinal Sin and...
All right. So again, thank you, Maria, and thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Much. It was
This
great.
has been a lot of fun, and if I put my glasses on, I'll be able to see again.
You're good. Oh, thank you. It was fun.
I think you're still live. Just saying, you're still live.
Is it?
I think so. Yeah.
It's alive. Is that your answer to the question I asked
No, are
you?
you still live? Are you still running live?
Oh, we're still live. Yes, we are. We are. So I will go ahead and say it's Cardinal Sin out.